Ben, moments ago, the President of the United States tweeted this out. Lowest rated Oscars in history. Problem is, we don't have stars anymore. Except your president. Just kidding, of course. After last week where he made the joke about President for Life, now he's got to say, I'm joking.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that anything the president says is going to be taken as seriously as possible so long as it can hurt him by the media. But pretty good joke, Mr. President. I like that one. Obviously, the ratings at the Oscars were down again this year. They've been down for the last several years. And the reason is pretty simple. Hollywood, when they put what they think is the best of Hollywood on display, it's what they think spits the most in the eye of the common American. And so they haven't had a picture since 2004 that's won Best Picture that was in the top 10 at the box office. There's this great divide in Hollywood between the movies that actually earn money and movies that people want to see and the movies that Hollywood wants to show us that they make, the ones that they talk about at the actual cocktail parties that they do have out here. So the movie that'll win Best Picture is a movie about a person having sex with a fish, grinding Nemo. That'll win Best Picture. But the movies that people actually want to see across the United States, those are the ones that maybe are nominated for a technical award. And no wonder people aren't tuning in.
Right. And here's the thing, Ben. I guess it's always been the case, but I've never seen such a chasm between the two. It's like there's no movie even rooting for you. You could say I was at the theater and I saw this, and they're so esoteric, they're so deep. I guess I'm too shallow to understand it. The other thing is that people bring up is that it's just too long. It's not entertaining. It's not interesting. All the conversation is stilted.
Yeah, there's no question that they should shorten the broadcast. But the truth is the broadcast has been really long, as long as I've been watching the Oscars. I didn't even watch it this year for the first time in forever, simply because, again, I was not interested in watching all these people who are sexually harassing and raping each other to lecture the rest of America on why our morality is deficient. And that's essentially what it turned into. And that's highly irritating, I think, to most Americans. And it should be. Again, this is Hollywood patting itself on the back at the same time that Hollywood is experiencing one of the greatest scandals that they've had in a century.
And then you've also got the fact that it was the third award show for movies in a row. You got the Golden Globes, you got SAG, and then you got this one. It's like, I think I'm awarded out.
I think that's true as well. And I think that there's also a cable cutting aspect here. There are a lot of people who are not as interested in watching the Oscars, and they can watch the clips later. Yeah. Right? If they want to watch your show live, it's because the news is live. You're watching the Oscars, you can pick up the results on Twitter, and then you can watch the clips later on somebody else's show.
Well, we voted this as most entertaining. Sam Nunberg, who worked for President Trump's campaign, he did a media blitz yesterday, and one of the anchors was accusing him of being blitzed. Whether or not he was, we don't know. Watch this, and then we'll get your reaction.
Mueller's not going to send me to prison for this. This is ridiculous. I won't sit for 80 hours to produce every email I had with Roger Stone and Steve Bannon.
You could go to prison for this.
The idea that, once again, that Donald Trump colluded with Russia is a joke.
You're sitting very close to me.
Yes.
We talked earlier about what people in the White House were saying about you.
Yeah.
Talking about whether you were drinking or on drugs or whatever they had happened today. Talking to you. Yeah. I have smelled alcohol on your breath.
Well, I have not had a drink.
You haven't had a drink, so that's not.
No.
It's awkward. Let me just give you the questions.
Well,
you can categorically answer them. No, you haven't had a drink today?
My answer is no. I have not.
So just to give some people some history, he vowed to refuse a subpoena, go before the grand jury. He says they can arrest me before I'm going to do that. They're trying to get his records of some conversations that he had with other people on the campaign trail.
Yeah, and it's irresponsible of members of the media to put this guy in the air if they legit think he's drunk. I mean, if you actually think somebody is drunk or suffering from a severe mental deficiency, it's not newsworthy to put that person on the air. And it does show the desperation level in some areas of the media. I mean, CNN has now deployed a reporter to Russia to dig through an actual dumpster on air. They're now deploying reporters to Thailand to talk to a Russian prostitute who just wants to get out of jail, saying that she has material on Trump-Russia. Let's just ask a simple question. If Sam Nunberg were not a former Trump aide, but he were a former Obama aide going on television, ripping up Obama during Obama's term, do we really think that the networks, that CNN, MSNBC, would have been featuring him all day yesterday? Or would they have said, this guy does not look stable and we're not going to put him in front of a camera?
They would not have even got past security. I'll answer that question. So let's talk sports. There's a high school basketball game going on, and it was lopsided, and the final score was 93-7, after which the superintendent, Elizabeth Legault, apologized. I'm happy we won the tournament, but of course, no one likes that type of score. I'm hoping this game will bring a thoughtful reflection from our program leaders. Is she right to apologize for winning, for the big win?
No, obviously. I mean, if she doesn't want to book a game against a school that obviously has an inferior basketball team, then don't book the game. I mean, there is such a thing in sports as not running up the score on people. But at the same time, the idea that some sort of terrible wrong was done when a superior team defeats an inferior team, this is one of the ways that people learn to get through life. I mean, there are going to be times in life when you're beat by a superior team, by a superior player, and it should be impetus for you to get better at the game or to quit, honestly. So it's kind of silly to have the administration apologizing on behalf of the players whose job it is to score baskets. What are the players supposed to do? Just stand around and dribble out the clock every time down the court?
Yeah, that's a good point.
We did find out they kept their starters in for 3 quarters. The last quarter was the where they put in their subs.
Apparently only 7 or 8 kids even suited up for the game, so that's why I was reading online. That's why they had to keep the starters in so long.
All right, well, yesterday we talked to some folks from UConn, and they were unhappy with the fact that Linda Sarsour, she started the women's marches. She said some anti-Semitic comments in the past, and she has been invited to the school to speak, and she is going to be on campus. Anyone can come and watch her. I don't know if they're selling tickets or how they're handling that, but no counselors needed. But yet when you go to UConn, because I guess they're offended by you and maybe you're dangerous, they have to have police there, they have to have counselors there. What was your reaction when you heard that they were inviting Linda Sarsour?
I mean, it certainly shows that the snowflake syndrome seems to centralize on one side, that really it's only the left that is filled with horrible snowflakes who are interested in shutting down debate at college campuses and mandating that there be hundreds of police officers and a ban on the general public from attending my lectures. When it's Linda Sarsour, who is infinitely worse in terms of controversy than I am. I mean, this is a woman who recently defended people who were defending Louis Farrakhan, and she is treated as just a normal part of the political debate at UConn. Listen, I'm glad that UConn had me, but the fact they had to take all these precautions in order for me to come, and then they had to warn the students as though I was going to scar them for life. But Linda Sarsour, who says really awful things on a regular basis, comes and there's no warning to the population, just shows how leftist the administration is.
Ben, can I make an observation? It doesn't seem to bother you.
No, I don't care. I mean, listen, as long as I get to talk to the students, I'm a happy camper. And again, I'm always grateful to administrations for allowing me there. But I can't be bothered by all the stupid people who want to shut down debate. I mean, if we did that, then we wouldn't have a country.
Absolutely. There's the whole thing about what the heckler's veto, where if they complain about somebody, you wind up getting sent far away from the main place. But apparently UConn said they went through the same protocol with her that they did with you. Ultimately, though, that's what you want to hear on campus. She's got some extraordinary views. You've got some views. You want to hear all the views. You don't want any editing.
No question. I mean, I just wish that we'd had the same treatment as Sarsour. And again, some of it's on the administration and some of it is on the Antifa folks and some of the people who are radical. Again, the radicals don't exist on the right. There's not a lot of people who are attempting to shut down Sarsour, who are threatening the event with violence. There's a reason that the administration didn't feel that police officers were necessary in the same numbers as at my event. And that's not because of the controversiality of my views. That's because there are a bunch of radicals on the left who legitimately are committed in fascist fashion to shutting down free speech in a way that people on the right generally are not.
And the Ben Shapiro Show and those ideas can be found on your podcast, right?
Yep, absolutely. Check that out. I appreciate it. Thanks for the plug, guys.
Thank you, Ben.
Meanwhile, intersectionality continues to make people on the left insanely stupid. So overnight, literally over a 24-hour period, there were a bevy of anti-right-wing disruptions on campus. So Christina Hoff Sommers, a friend of mine, the factual feminist, she's a professor, she was speaking about feminism, and she was speaking about the failures of the social justice warrior program, and she was shouted down. This is at a law school. Okay, so this was happening at Lewis and Clark Law School, which is one of the better schools in the country, and a coalition of student groups had demanded that what they called known fascist Christina Hoff Sommers be no platform, meaning that they shouldn't allow her to speak. And they put out, the Portland National Lawyers Guild put out a statement saying, "We are proud of our student chapter for taking a concerted stand against fascist, racist, and misogynistic views being broadcasted on campus. The National Lawyers Guild Lewis and Clark chapter is joined with the Minority Law Students Association, Black Law Students Association, Women's Law Caucus, Immigration Student Group, Jewish Law Society, Latino Law Society, Outlaw, and Lewis and Clark Young Democratic Socialists of America to ask the Federalist Society to rescind their invitation." They did not rescind the invitation, and Christina Hoff Sommers showed up anyway. I really like Christina. She is a charming woman, and not only is she charming, she's also quite intelligent and has a lot to say. She is not a fascist. Okay, there's no evidence that she's a fascist, and the attempt to boil down fascism to anything I don't like is simply idiotic. Which is more fascist? Christina Hoff Sommers coming and speaking about the lies of the feminist movement, or the people who are suggesting that they should actually be able to shut down her lecture by use of force? Okay, that seems a little more fascist to me. So here's a little bit of the video when Christina started trying to start her lecture last night at Lewis and Clark Law School.
Christina Sommers has repeatedly delegitimized the suffering of women. Worldwide. But we believe our siblings and our comrades. Women are not liars with victim mentalities. Rape culture is not a myth.
Okay, nothing quite says bucking trends like repeating verbatim, word for word, what people are telling you to say. Nothing really says that you're thinking for yourself quite like repeating in North Korean fashion exactly what your dictator tells you to say. Pretty amazing. I love that the woman who's walking around here with a jacket saying "Stay woke" is just standing at the front and shouting at people. And then, according to Christina, what happened is that the diversity officer from the university came up to her and asked her to cut short her lecture and go directly to Q&A instead of finishing her lecture. Just absolute class shown by the university over at Lewis and Clark. Disgusting stuff.